Hello everyone, welcome to our fourth episode of REALink. REALink is a conversation series where we engage with our guests to explore various topics that matter in our society and the importance of staying connected with self and with one another. It is also a campaign to raise funds to support the work that we do in Lutheran Community Care Services, LCCS. You can support us on giving.sg through the link shown below or the QR code that will be flashed on the screen from time to time. Again, thank you for making the time to tune in for our conversation. My name is Seow Ling and I will be your host for this evening. For our episode this evening, we shall talk about fathering as part of our Empower series of REALink. I do encourage you to give your comments or questions during the conversation. We shall attempt to respond to them during or after the session. For today's conversation on fathering, we are very thrilled and privileged to have Carl, Sean, and Parcsen to share their insights with us. Let's welcome them. Hello, everyone. Carl is my colleague from LCCS who is also involved in adoption work. Carl, would you like to say hi?
Hi, Seow Ling, and hi everyone who's tuned in. Very good to have the opportunity to be here with REALink.
Okay, thanks, Carl. And Sean here is his elder son. Sean, would you like to say hello?
Hi, I'm glad to have this opportunity to basically share my dad and I's athletic journey with everyone. Yeah.
And we also have Parcsen here. He's a head of programs from the Center for Fathering. He is also a relationship coach. And he's also a grandfather and father. Yeah, I was telling him that he really looked very young to be a grandfather. Would you like to say hello, Parcsen?
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me here. Yes, I always believe in starting early, so you have more time to experience it and enjoy the journey, I hope.
Thank you. And we are eager to have this conversation with our guests tonight. But before that, let us view a video.
I was exposed to many different sports at a young age, but I especially like triathlon.
Yes, we've always given Sean the leeway to pursue whatever interest that he has so that he will have the passion and the perseverance to pursue and set meaningful goals for himself. Sean and I, we wake up very early for training every morning.
It's a real discipline, but I really like it.
We don't require that he comes in first all the time, as long as he tries his best and is happy with the outcome.
My dad introduced me to this sport when I was 9. I liked it so much that we began training together every morning. After training for a while, I thought it would be even more exciting to do triathlon with the other kids.
Yes, indeed. Triathlon has given us a lot more opportunity for bonding.
Sports has brought us close together and taught us many positive values.
Yes, sports is a great teacher.
Wow, that's truly an inspiring video, don't you think? Yeah. So Carl, what is one fond memory you have in your sporting activities together with Sean?
Well, I think that video definitely is a memory in itself. I think we were asked to do it for Milo because our involvement in triathlon, and Milo was one of the major sponsors to try to get kids started in multi-sport and to learn how to set goals for the long term. So yeah, I think that was one of the major milestones that we managed to do together. But frankly speaking, I would say that the memories is actually more of a process than a specific instance. It's really the opportunity to do training and the prep together with Sean, because it's been a multi-year journey, almost 10 years in fact, to get ready for the start line at an elite level competition. So I would say that there are really many aspects to consider and plan for, such as the right equipment to bring. We had to schedule time away from school for him and also from work, from my point of view. And in his A-level years, that there were races everywhere in South Africa, the World Championships in London and Canada. He went to Youth Olympic Games qualifiers in Kazakhstan, Australia. Of course, there were some races that were nearer home, like in Indonesia and Philippines, but there was a lot of anticipation, I would say, and scrambling around, I think, just to get everything in place. So many memories of those times.
So it's doing together with that give you a lot of memories. It's not just the outcomes, it's the process that you enjoy. Yeah. Sean, what about you? What is one fond memory you have in the sporting activities with your dad?
I think I have some of the same experience. I don't think it was one particular event. Like my dad said, we started when I was very young. So that's kind of like the one thing that we've always been doing together. It was sports. Yeah. So whether it's morning training or afternoon trainings or night trainings or going overseas for competitions together, doing all the prep, I feel like it's all one big experience. I can't really kind of like tie it down to one particular experience that was the fondest. But if I had to pick one, definitely would be going to World Champs together. Yeah, that's definitely one of the main highlights of my whole sporting career. Yeah, so we both represent Singapore at the same time in different age groups. I feel like that was definitely one of the main highlights. Yeah.
Actually, both of you really inspires me because, I think I keep telling Carl, I'm not sure whether I mentioned before not to Sean, definitely, but I think I've also been thinking, what can I do on a longer journey with my own daughter? Yeah, I'm learning a lot from Carl. Yeah, and I think there are two pictures that you want to show the audience, right? Can we show the two photos? Yeah. That's one of them. Would you like to say something about this picture? Anyone?
Yeah, I think, definitely remember this picture as well. I think this was not a triathlon. It was what we call an ultra marathon or a multi-day run. This was in the Gobi Desert. I think we're looking very fresh in this picture because it is at the start, at a hotel where there were equipment checks and everything. So I think we were all fully loaded up with the gear. Really looking forward to the start of the race.
The next picture? Yes, Sean, you said you see?
Looking way worse now. I remember this was the temple whereby I think it was the last day. It was the last, I think, 5 or 10 km run. Yeah, so definitely very tired after a long few days marching in the desert. But yeah, glad to have completed everything together, my dad as well. Yeah.
But both of you look very happy.
Finally over.
Thank you for sharing your photos with us. Yeah. And Carl, I understand from the video and also my personal conversation with you, that you have been setting aside time daily to engage in activity with Sean since he was like 9 years old or even younger. What is your motivation for doing that?
Well, it comes down to our parenting style. I think both myself and Ling, it was a very conscious and deliberate effort to set an example. And for myself, it was to show that if I can swim at 5 o'clock every morning and then go to a full-time job, then similarly, Sean and my younger son, Mark, they can also swim and go to school right out of the pool. In that sense, we would rather not just do the fetching around, let's say pay money just for every lesson. It's really more to do with being very directly involved in the crucial aspects of Sean's developmental years. It's both in the CCA as well as schoolwork, meaning that I handle the CCA, right? But my wife, Ling, does the academics. In this respect, except for second language, they never had tuition until their O-level years. And I think Sean survived reasonably well in EPS and Hwa Chong. So looking back, we're really glad that we took this path and we didn't start on what I feel is a really important parenting aspects but we kept a very direct hand in his molding process.
So Sean, how does spending time together with your dad help to build, your relationship with him?
Well, definitely going through the tough times together is 100%. I attribute that to being very close to my dad. Like what my dad said, most of the other kids, right, the parents will drop them off at training in the morning and then probably disappear off to work. And then the kids have to go to school themselves, either by bus or take a taxi. Or just not very involved in the sport itself. I think they're just more focused on the outcome, whether they get first or second, whether they can go to nationals or not. But ours was a very closely knit, intimate relationship whereby we go to the pool together every single morning. My dad is waking up to train with me and setting a good example. So if you can do it and go to work, then internally I also felt that I also had the ability to do that and also succeed at school. Yeah, that's one of the main attributes that really brought us close together. Yeah.
There's a lot of commitment on Carl's side over so many years. Yeah, I'm really truly amazed. So Carl, do you have anything else to add? Like how does spending time help you to bond with Sean?
Well, I would say that it's the opportunities as well. The training is hard, but the opportunities are there because multi-sport training does necessitate twice or sometimes 3 times a day sessions. So again, it's just those opportunities that we made for ourselves to really, in a sense, collaborate on how sessions should go, when to schedule it, how to put together the equipment. So the combination of the frequency of the sessions, I would say, and what we had to put together, as a team, that really provided the motivation. So again, it was never difficult to actually do the waking up or go through the sessions. I think both of us, in a way, really look forward to these training sessions.
So Parcsen, can you share with us what are the factors for a strong father-son relationship?
Well, thank you for that question. First of all, I want to say to Carl and Sean, I'm very impressed. Okay, at the feats that you all have accomplished. I'm not the very active type. In fact, my wife is. All right. During my NS days, I failed practically every 2.4 run. Okay, so after the army, the only time I ran was after the bus. Okay. So the factors for a strong father-son relationship, what we teach in our workshops to fathers, basically has 4 components, and they are kind of encompassed in these 4 alphabets: ICAN, which stands for involvement, consistency, awareness, and nurturance. So just to give you a little bit of each, involvement simply means doing things with your children, spending time with them, like what Carl has done, but just in case fathers listening in might think that this is the new benchmark for good fathers, to spend hours and hours with their children, I would say to them, spend as much time as you can, but if you cannot, which is understandably so because time is a very precious commodity and very rare nowadays, there is such a thing called quality time, and there are 3 ingredients to quality time, which we share in the workshops. So involvement is doing things with your children, all right? But I think the important thing about involvement is not just the time, but it's your presence, all right? That you need to be there fully, not distracted, not, preoccupied in your mind about your work, all right? The word for it is rumination. That means you are just continuously thinking about and worrying about, the unfinished work in the office or the deadline the next day or something like that. All right. So when you are thinking of all this, then you're not really there and it'll make you grumpy and grouchy and angry and impatient. And is that how you want your son to remember you by? As someone who is grumpy and grouchy, angry and impatient and distracted, always peeping at your phone, whenever there's a sound. All right. So that's involvement. Then comes consistency, and consistency is about consistency in your involvement in when you spend time with your kids. I hope that we're not doing it once in a while or when we can. All right, but do some things that are consistent so that it forms a pattern. It becomes a ritual or a tradition. And most importantly, I think it creates memories. Okay, especially for young children, they may not have a mobile phone to take photos, selfies, or Wi-Fi's with, but they do have memories, a brain where they capture moments that they want to remember for a very long time to come, And consistency is also about disciplining, about, setting rules and consequences and enforcing them consistently. Then we have awareness, which is about getting to know your child. And I put it this way. An effective father knows his child both in terms of the outward stuff and the inward stuff. All right. Outward stuff are the things that are very easily noticeable and observable, but the inward stuff are things that's happening within your child. His emotions, his ambitions, his fears, his thoughts, and things like that. And finally, nurturance, which is about developing the child emotionally from the inside out. All right. And how to strengthen the child in terms of emotional resilience, emotional intelligence, which is something every parent, is thinking about and wanting to learn. How do we do that? Well, come to our workshop, the I Can Fathering Workshop, and learn it.
Okay, thank you, Parcsen. Yeah. So I think at this point, we are also talking about what he said about the outwards and inwards. So we have shared about Carl and Sean, their outwards is a sporting activity. And then coming to the inwards, so we talk about Sean. Now, let me ask you, how have your relationship with your dad helped shape your identity?
Right. Okay. So I think from a very, very young age, right, my dad has always taught me I don't always have to follow what everyone else is doing. And that's basically been my life ever since I was young. So waking up at 3 a.m. to go to swim, to go to train, and then go to school is not normal for a child. But basically that kind of showed and kind of proved to me that I don't always have to follow the common path. And if I don't follow the common path, but I work hard at it, there's always going to be some sort of positive outcome that will come out of it. And I think that kind of shows and kind of translated to real life. Yeah, so I kind of moved away from a traditional mindset to kind of run my own business now. And it's been going very, very well. I think that's fully attributed to whatever my dad has done in my young age. Yeah, so that's kind of shaped my identity in the sense that I don't always have to be someone that follows the crowd. As long as I know I want and I work hard at it with consistency, then results will 100% and definitely show. Yeah.
I think it also shows your resiliency and persistency as well. It's not easy to start something from scratch or start something anew and do something that usually, people may think that, hey, it's not a good thing, you should be studying now, you should be doing something else, but you had the courage to do that. I think that's where, because of relationship with your dad who believes in you, I guess. Yeah. So what about you, Carl? How do you think you have contributed to shaping Sean's identity?
Well, I think identity is really letting him know who he is, or he has to discover who he is, but also be confident and comfortable with what he is becoming. And as Sean mentioned, that we as parents did no dictating or telling him what to do. In fact, if I rewind the clock back a bit. So he got seriously interested and training for triathlon about 8 or 9 years old, right? But I think before that, we exposed him to a lot of different things, golf, bowling, tennis, I think many other things, and just to let him pick actually what he wanted to focus on. So in that sense, I think we provided him the tools and the support, but we encourage him to write his own story, and in that way, develop his own identity and growth. So okay, that's the direction and approach that we took as parents.
So it's not quite what you do, but really like giving opportunities and then opportunities to explore in a sense, and giving the support that your son needs. Yeah. At this point, I want to ask Parcsen to share with us. So, what is the importance of fathers? Why is father so important in building a child's identity and character?
When we talk about identity, we are actually basically talking about the roles that we play and the relationships that we have in our lives. At any one time in our lives, we play more than one role and have more than one relationships to maintain. I, for example, I'm a son to my parents, a husband, a father, and recently became a grandfather. I'm also an employee, and as you know, at Center for Fathering. And I'm a friend to a few close friends. And I'm not counting Facebook friends, okay? Every one of these identities, every one of these are my identities, all right? And we usually don't think about identity this way, but I think we should. Now, most of our fathers, they have modeled to us a particular kind of fathering, of father, which is the one that is very hardworking, all right? But beyond that, we don't actually see a lot of it. We don't see their nurturance, we don't see their affection. We don't also see a lot of their role as a husband. All right, apart from the fact that we know our fathers are married to our mothers. Okay, so this generation of fathers, I think, have to rise up to the task of becoming a model of a loving and respectful husband, and a father who is equally engaged at home and at work to their sons, all right, to be a model to their sons in all these areas. Now, at the same time, the father can help to develop qualities such as integrity and diligence and perseverance and resilience, consideration and charity, empathy and compassion, in their children, in their sons as well, values and character and things like that. All right. But I think in terms of the identity, it's about modeling for them a father who is both a loving husband and also a caring father.
I think you have said a good point about the two roles of modeling for being a husband and a father as well, because even when a child comes, both parents are so focused on the child and not really on their intimate relationship. I think this is a food for thought for all of us, and how we are modeling for our children as well, to shape their identity and character. Yes, and I think at this point, all of you may be interested to find out how much Carl and Sean know about each other. Yeah, so we're going to have a little game with the two of them. Okay, yeah, because you can see that on outward they seem to be like knowing each other, like they're very close. Okay, I'll ask you questions, Okay, and what I need to. When I ask you the question, you just have to answer for, like for example, if I ask what's your favorite color, then Sean needs to say for Carl, and Carl needs to say for Sean. Okay, right? So my first question is, okay, what is your favorite food? I think this should be quite easy, right? What is your favorite food? Okay. So Sean, what's your dad's favorite food?
Okay, I know this. Actually, really very much depends. It really very much depends.
You want to pick one, what would be the?
Really hard to say, because it will differ on knowing both of our tastes. It will differ basically on so for example, if we were on a holiday, for example, in Japan, we're only going to eat Japanese food. We're not going to try anything else. If let's say we go to France, it's French food. If we go to Italy, it's Italian food. Yeah, so very much so, I can't say what the favorite food is, but if you were to pick one, we definitely would pick the same food at the same time, 100%. Yeah. I'll say we share the same mood, yeah.
Carl, what do you think? What's your response to Sean's answer? He never give me an answer.
No, that's a very accurate answer already.
No, really.
I mean, you talk about favorite food. I don't. There's no food that I do not eat, right? So I'm not a vegan, or I don't like beef or something like that. So I exclude some things. In fact, I'm very adventurous. In fact, we are all very adventurous. So we like to try new foods. So hence already there isn't anything that's a firm favorite. So like Sean mentioned, I think we travel widely, not only for triathlons or sporting events, but on family holidays. So wherever we are, we really want to try something unique to that place, and that in a way becomes our favorite food for that time. I think if you say favorite food at a certain point in time, that would be a correct answer. But if you say what's my favorite food for the last 20, 30 years, there isn't one. It moves around. So his answer is correct.
So is this going to be a response to Sean's, for Sean's favorite food too? It depends on where you are.
Yes. I mean, if we go to a restaurant, even in Singapore, I think we know the chef is famous for a certain food, right? But there's many other things on the menu. I would bet that he wouldn't pick something that was way out and not what the chef was known for. So I think that's the way we decide things. But it brings it back to the way we look at things. Everything's in a context. We need to adapt. We need to figure out the environment. Before we pick and choose what we do, or in this case, you're asking what we eat, right? So what we eat, it depends on the context and where we are at that point in time. So I think it's the way we live life. It's always a curiosity, willingness to experiment, but because of that there really isn't any firm favorite. It will be the same thing. Let's say if you ask us favorite color or what, I don't have a favorite color, and I know he doesn't.
Okay, thankfully I don't have that question. Okay, next question. Oh God. Okay, this one is slightly more difficult. I increase the level of difficulty. Okay, what is one thing that will surely upset you? Sean, what is one thing that will surely upset your dad? Don't tell me context again,
It depends. Okay, so I think one thing that will surely disappoint is not trying. I think that is basically what I've been taught since day one. Yeah. So not trying or not giving 100%. So if I were to do something, I gotta go all out. If not, might as well not do it at all. I think that's kind of one thing that will surely upset my dad, because I don't think he gets upset in many things. Yeah. I think it's only due down of lack of effort, whether it being me, myself, or anyone else. The only time I've ever seen my dad really get upset is if someone else didn't put in a due effort that they owe. Yeah. So let's say if you have a job to do, it's got to be 100%. Yeah. If you want to do something, it's got to be 100%. If not, why even bother? Yeah. So that's one thing that will surely upset my dad.
Is that right, Carl?
It is, but more specifically, if you ask me, it has to do with attitude. So I think Sean described it, I think, from a slightly different perspective. But to me, it's attitude. So I think in terms of relationships with I think anybody, be it colleagues, family members, I think other third parties, if you meet them anywhere, say, even if you were ordering food at a restaurant or buying something at the counter. It's really attitude. That means that they are putting their heart and soul into what they're doing. And if they're doing that, you can see the energy. And I tend to appreciate and feed off that. But conversely, if you're actually not having the right mindset, the right approach, that means the right attitude, then yes, that tends to throw me off. I mean, probably not upset me, but it'll definitely throw me off.
So what is one thing you know will surely upset Sean?
Well, I would say it's just following the well-trodden path. I think he has discovered his own individuality, his own independence. I think you asked this in the previous question, but we taught him to really be confident and comfortable in being himself, and again pursuing whatever path he chooses. So I would say conformity again, that people who live their lives or study something according to what their parents want or what society expected, but actually this is not what they want and what they're happy about. I think if it comes across a person with that kind of attitude, that also may be something that throws him off. I mean, again, I wouldn't use the term upset, but I think it'll be something that doesn't sit very well with him.
Is that right, Sean?
Oh, yeah, actually, this one 100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, I see too many people like that, like my friends. So I ask them what they're studying, what they're doing with their lives. They're just like, I don't know. I don't like the answer. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So yeah, it's true. It's something that I don't think the word's upset as well. I think it's more like doesn't really mesh well with me. Yeah. So like I don't like being a headless chicken. Basically just going wherever the rest of the people are going. I'm not really a sheep. If I know a direction, I will set off on that path alone if I have to do it alone. But I know I'll get somewhere, and I'd rather be on a path alone in my own direction rather than just following the crowd. And if someone were to basically enforce that kind of ideal onto me, I think that would probably upset me quite a bit if I was forced to do something that I do not want to do or have no interest in. Yeah.
Okay, so Carl does know you well. Okay, our final question. What is one value that matters to you? Okay, Carl, what is one value that matters to Sean, you think?
Being true to yourself. I think in a nutshell, that would be it. Yeah. So I answered that very quickly.
Sean, is that correct? Would you accept that as an answer?
I mean, yeah, generally, it's kind of true. Yeah.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, actually very accurate, because like I said just now, I mean, it's the same kind of like mindset as non-conformity. Yeah, so I definitely agree. Yeah, just being true to myself, doing what I want, what I like, is definitely the most important thing to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we know that, and at various points in his developmental years, we would have suggested, consider this, study this, for example, we even told him like, why don't you apply for scholarship? I mean, you got good grades, you got good CCA, you did well in army, blah blah blah, right? So you got a good, stable, well-paying job. But if he decides otherwise, right? So I think we would have done our part in explaining the pros and cons of suggesting a certain action. But again, he's free to choose. knowing that the consequences of those actions will eventually rest with him. But I think, because we felt that the maturity was there for him to make that kind of decisions, I think all we did as parents was to maybe highlight certain angles that he may not have seen. But again, I think the outcome and the consequences, that was entirely up to him now. So again, I think the support from myself and Ling would always be there, but I think the consequences, the challenges that he has chosen, really is up to him. So maybe not in those exact words, but I think he certainly knows where we're coming from.
So Sean, what is one value that matters to your dad?
I think 100% is straight up like discipline. I think that's it. Yeah. Ever since I was young, I don't think like my dad started doing sports, waking up at 3 a.m. just because of me. I think it's just who he is. Because even now, I think my dad still wakes up at like 5 a.m. to go and run and exercise. So it's definitely not because of me. So that's definitely one of the innate values that my dad has. Yeah.
Anything to respond to that, Carl? Is that right? Discipline.
Yes, that's true, but it actually comes from another value. So I think discipline shows itself every day and in most things that I do, but actually underlying that would be to do the best that I'm capable of, which I think Sean mentioned previously. And it applies to just about any situation. If I take a sporting example, I mean, let's say you lost to a person by the thickness of your singlet, when you cross the line. But I know that there was nothing I could do to have beaten him in all the prep that I've done, right? I think that's very easy to accept the outcome. But if I knew that I could have, let's say, beaten this guy, if, for the last 2 months, I could have trained 10% more, right? But I didn't. Then I think that's very hard to live down. So actually, it is that other value and principle, which is you always just want to do the best you can. That actually makes me very disciplined. So I think discipline is easier to see, but actually that other value really is the driving force.
Okay, thank you both. And I do encourage for fathers and sons, or fathers and daughters to actually have this kind of conversation, to test the assumptions or to see how well they know each other. I think it's pretty fun, right, Carl? This activity, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you both for being so sporting and so candid. Yeah. To round off this conversation, I'm going to invite Parcsen back in, and Parcsen will share with us this special place that fathers have in a child's life. Yeah, Parcsen.
Hi, I'm back. Okay. Yes. So do I start now?
Yes, please go ahead. What's the this special place that a father has in a child's life? Yes.
Well, I want to share with you about something that is really, really important, but not often talked about, and that's something called father hunger. Everyone who has ever been born has a father, but yet many grow up as if they were without a father. And I'm talking about basically fatherlessness, but there are 2 kinds of fatherlessness. The first kind of fatherlessness is the type where the father is not around, physically absent. And he can be absent because of different reasons. He could be separated, divorced, incarcerated. He could be sick, hospitalized, or just dead. The other kind of fatherlessness, which is even more prevalent, and that is the one where the father is physically present but emotionally absent, emotionally disengaged with everyone at home. So as a result, there is a father hunger in many, many of us. And in that father hunger causes us to miss and to long for our father's presence and unconditional love. You see, the thing is, all of us, we are not necessarily looking for a perfect father. We just want to have a father, and we want to be one. All right, I'm talking about guys. We want to be a father to our children. So that father hunger can affect us in many aspects of our lives: our health, our confidence, our self-esteem, our relationships. According to one psychologist called Samuel Osherson, he says many sons' relationships with their fathers shape in subtle ways how they respond to their wives and children. All right, which basically means that someone with father hunger in them, it will affect their role as a husband. It will affect their role as a father, and of course, I'm talking about negatively. So someone with a father hunger, when he grows and becomes an adult, for example, he will manifest this father hunger in a few ways. For men, especially, it is in the form of anger. When they come across as angry or demanding, their anger is often a cover for the hurt and the fear that they feel. So what you see is father hunger is like having a father-shaped hole in our souls, and we are constantly looking for someone or something to fill it. Men will look for father figures in their male bosses or mentors. Women will look for love in all the wrong people. This father hunger can only be overcome when we reconnect with our own fathers. When we dare to embark on this healing journey, we open ourselves to making peace with our wounded past. And then we will be able to deepen our present relationships, and we will be able to create real and lasting love with our spouses. All right? Our fathers are more than just a father. So the first thing that we want to do, I want to share with you 3 R's, in about how you can reconnect with your father to heal this father hunger within you. So the first R is to recognize. What do I mean by recognize? Is to recognize the man who happens to be your father. All our fathers, we know them as a father. We know them, about how they treat us, how they, play with us or not, how they talk with us or not, and things like that. But there's a big portion of their lives that actually, for I think most of us, as I talk to many fathers, we are not aware of, we are quite ignorant of. And that is the part where our fathers were a child and they grew up to be a young boy, a teenager, a young adult, and he fell in love, he got married, he had children, and he had us. That's one part of our fathers' lives that many of us are not aware of, And it's very important, according again to Samuel Osherson, that we need to identify with our fathers, both the good as well as in the ways that we are different from them, you see. And that's one of the ways that we begin to fill up that father-shaped hole in our souls. So the second way, the second R, is to reconcile. So as you learn more about the stories about your father, about his childhood, it's about growing up days, about his school days, about his dating, and about his work life, you will begin to understand what made him the man that he is. You will begin to know why he acted the way he did and why he fathered you the way that he did. Now, these are not excuses. We're not trying to make excuses, but we're trying to explain why. Why is he like that? And a few years ago, I actually had to do that. I actually sat down with my father and I asked him to tell me your story. And he spent an hour and a half telling me about his childhood, his school days, his father, his parents, his family, and how he started work and so on and so forth. And what I found within myself was, a growing empathy. I began to empathize. I began to understand him. And I began to, for those of us who need to, forgive. And finally, the third R is to reconnect. And after you have recognized him and after you have reconciled with him, don't stop there. it's time for you to start now to reconnect, to begin to have that father-son, father-child relationship, which you did not have, but could have had. Now, of course, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, anything like the real thing, what you could have had. But it's going to be something. It's going to be very healing. It's going to be very restorative, not only for you, but also for our own fathers. All right? Because I tell you, no father wants to be separated. No father wants to be, having this strained relationship, alienated from his own children. So I think for us as sons, and as even this applies to daughters, it will be wonderful if we can take the first step, the initiative to build bridges, not just between our generation and that generation, but also between our father's generation and our children. So we're talking about bridging 3 generations. So this is a very, very important task. Sounds simple, can be easy, all right? And that's where, we really need each other. Fathers, we need each other to encourage one another, to urge one another on, and I'm definitely willing to journey with anyone who wants to begin on this journey of healing and restoration.
I think, thank you for sharing, Parcsen. And this is what, resonates a lot of LCCS as well, where we do a lot of restoration work. We do a lot of, we believe in reconnecting and connecting. And therefore, we have this whole series about connection and connectedness. Yeah, and therefore, today is about connecting father with the children. And I think it's very, very important in these times when people are so busy. And people, if you ask yourself, I think it's a good question to ask yourself, how much do we know about our fathers? Yeah. And Center for Fathering has a series of workshops, and the workshops are complimentary for the first 30 listeners registered. You can register for the workshops by scanning the QR code shown on the screen.
Yes, they are excellent workshops, all based on research findings, recent research, so that what you're getting is not my opinion or anyone else's opinion. You're getting what research has found to really work in most cases.
Thank you. Indeed, research has consistently shown that the quality of parenting in a child's younger years play a major role in influencing their development, including communication, relationships, physical and mental health. Also, both fathers and mothers are important in a child's development. So LCCS itself is also having a series of parenting workshops, Parenting with Your Child. It aims to equip parents with knowledge and skills to strengthen positive relationships. And Carl here, our guest tonight, is one of the facilitators for the workshop series. Carl, can you share with us about this workshop?
Yes, okay. Thanks, Seow Ling, for introducing this series of workshop. So, as Seow Ling mentioned, LCCS, the work that we do really centers around improving relationships, and our beneficiaries are in schools, in the community, and of course, families. Now, in line with this, we're running our next series of parenting workshops soon, and the first session is starting on 16th November. There will be 6 sessions, 2 core ones on how to show me and not tell me, and talk to me, not tell me. And again, all this would be really relationships driven. And following on from these core electives, these 2 core courses, there will be 4 electives that deal with common issues that parents face, such as challenges in the developmental years. I'm covering passion and developing potential, parenting in the digital age, and appreciating love language. Now, each session is on a Monday or Wednesday evening for 2 hours from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And for more details and registration, you can just scan the QR code that's on the screen.
Thank you, Carl. Yes, indeed. You can find out more information about the workshops by visiting our website or Facebook page. If you have any questions, do message us on Facebook, drop us an email, and we'll definitely respond to you. With your support through donations, as Carl has mentioned, that we do a lot of work with the communities, with families, and so we really do need your support. And with your support through donations, we'll be able to reach out to more parents in the community with such workshops to encourage positive relationships with their children. To support us, you can scan the QR code that appears on the screen now. If you make a donation of $50 or more, you will receive a LCCS food trail coupon to enjoy a discount from 10 participating restaurants and cafes shown here. We want to give a big shout out to the restaurants and cafes who support us in our REALink campaign. We hope that during this trying period, all of us will also consider supporting these local businesses. And thank you, Carl, Sean, and Parcsen once again for being with us to share our story, experience, and your insights. Yeah. Sean, I see that you have a gift especially from our LCCS team with you, right? I got burning eyes, I can see the gift right now. Can I request you to unwrap it and show it to us what you got? Yeah.
All right, okay. It's so well wrapped.
What's that?
Right, I think it's a this is jigsaw puzzle, yeah, from LCCS, from REALink. Yeah, so basically, I think it's basically about all the pillars of relationship, right? There's collaboration, engagement, restoration, empowerment. Yeah, so definitely something I'll be putting out in my room. Yeah. Thank you.
And these are the 4 themes that of our, REALink series. Yes. Parcsen, I'm sure you are very excited to receive your gift soon. Yes, at your office.
Yes, it's in my office, and I think someone has already unwrapped it.
Okay, so this puzzle symbolizes the importance of connecting with each other, like how the puzzle pieces can connect to a complete picture. So we also want to encourage you and everyone to have meaningful conversations to add onto each other's life. And Parcsen has also given you the 3 R's, right? You want to repeat the 3 R's again, Parcsen?
Okay, yes. The first R is to recognize. Okay. The second R is to reconcile. And then the third R is to reconnect.
Thank you. I think this is important, and we, as I said, we are here in the work of restoring and building relationships, and this is very important. Reconcile and reconnect, not just for other people, but also for ourselves. Yeah, and thank you again for being with me this evening for this episode of our REALink. If you would like to catch the replay of the episode, you can catch it on our YouTube channel or Facebook page. Stay tuned for our upcoming session on 3rd October, which is this coming Saturday at 2 o'clock. We will be exploring the topic of crime with our guest, Terry O'Connor, Director of Real Justice Australia, and Soris, who will be sharing her personal experience as a victim of crime. Thank you, and have a good Wednesday night. Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye, good night.
Bye.